bringing you up to date on all the action from a busy weekend of women's soccer. This is USL Super League Game Week on SiriusXM FC.
Welcome into Game Week on SiriusXM, joined as always by former Georgia forward Marion Crowder. I'm Anna Witte. We have a fun show for you this week. We're going to talk all about the Florida Derby clash that happened this past weekend, plus some of the newest additions onto the pitch that are really making waves in the league. And of course, we are joined by Tampa Bay forward Carlee Giammona, who comes on to talk about her goals for this season and why she's been able to make such an instant impact into this Tampa Bay system. Marion, so fun to be back. So much to dive into. But before we do, a lot of things that are on our mind, Marion. One of them being tax season, because we both have a million tax returns. I don't know about you, but I'm fighting someone right now in my email for my final one because my husband's like, let's get it in before the last second.
First of all, I'm crying. We're showing our age.
I know.
No doubt about that. Second of all, I love this industry, right? You love this industry. Everyone's like, oh, I understand tax season. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. I love this industry, right? Okay, well, I just need to make that clear. But my God, at the tax returns that you have to do in this industry, the different people that you have to chase down. And Anna, you're fighting with a printer as well. I'm
fighting with a printer, Marion. Like, what is this? You turn 30 and then you start fighting with inanimate objects.
But that shows. That just shows, though, see, Anna is actually printing things at home. When I have to go print things, I have to go to the courtyard lobby down the street.
Do they give you overnight? Do you get points for that, by the way? Is Marriott giving you points?
You should. I should literally be able to show my Marriott and say, hey, please add this to my point count for using your services. Thank you so much. They'd probably be like, hey, politely get out.
I know they probably would, but like you do a good job probably of sneaking in and getting what you need.
Look, I do. I haven't been caught yet, knock on wood.
That's good. That's good. We're broadcasters, Marion. We're not mathematicians. We're not accountants.
I've watched you try to do simple arithmetic. It's not great. It's not great.
I can barely count down on time on the show, producing this show. You can't expect me to be able to count all my tax returns and get all the numbers correct.
But have you seen the new graphic calculator that is in
what are we updating these things?
No. iPhone now. Your calculator can now turn into a graphic calculator. I don't know why I would ever need that in normal life, but it's comforting to know it's there. If I need to do an equation, if I need to do some sort of weird fraction math, it's there.
I haven't needed a graphic calculator since 2013, and I was hoping I would never see one again. So look, they updated my iPhone overnight, and I can't even access my email. What's going on?
Good.
Who am I?
Oh, good.
Who am I?
Yeah, you're struggling this morning. And hey, for everyone, this probably isn't going to drop in the morning, but Anna and I are recording in the morning. We would just like to say welcome, good morning. We hope you have a great day.
Yeah,
we're gonna dive into
yeah. Please, everyone, have a great week. It's hump day. We're almost over the edge of the week. But first, we're going to talk about soccer because that's what we're good at. Not counting tax returns, but talking about.
Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah. Bring up the hard stuff in life. We had a good one, Marion. Tampa Bay against Fort Lauderdale. We had a lot of goals. It ended in a 2-2 draw this past Saturday. And for Tampa Bay, we saw a lot of change, a formation change. They went into a 3-5-2. Coach Schulte Brown said she really wanted to continue to grow on that passing piece and the attacking piece in the offseason. And we saw more numbers getting forward. But there were a lot of changes, including that goalkeeper change. Overall, how has that impacted really the consistency of this team? And how have you seen the consistency of this team throughout an entire 90-minute match look?
Ooh, that's a good question. And let me just say that starting the match, I was wildly impressed with the changes. I'm glad you bring them up because we need to understand the fact that when you're adding all of these new players to the mix, you're adding a formation change. Even their pressure coverage schemes were a little bit different than what we normally see from Tampa Bay. And to do that all seamlessly, as it looked in the first 30 minutes, wildly impressive. I think what I took away really was the first 30 minutes and the last 10 minutes for Tampa Bay. If they show up like those two Tampa Bay teams, consistently throughout the season. We've known that this squad has the talent, right? But it was almost a matter of a matter of willingness that we didn't see from them in the fall season consistently enough. And we saw it for a very, very long stretch in that first half. So for me, that is a positive sign. I thought that they were extremely intelligent with the way that they were pressing Fort Lauderdale. They were inviting the long ball, and it was really interesting. And you and I both watched the game, and they had a high line of confrontation. But if you look at it, a lot of times they weren't actually pressing the ball carrier, right? They were inviting that time and space on the ball. And I thought Carlee Giammona was the best player on the pitch in the first half because she was able to read the next line. She was able to read that pocket of space. And so many of Tampa Bay's early signs in the attack started from Carlee's defensive work rate in the midfield. So I just thought overall, from an intelligence perspective, defensively, they were great. And I thought in the first 30 minutes, their tempo in the attacking part of the field was phenomenal. It was 1-2 touch passes. It was options aplenty, tons of movement off the ball. It was not predictable at all. However, I think the bittersweet part of that, and you'll hear Carlee talk about it. I think the bittersweet part of that is you play that well for that long of a time period, and you have no goals to show for it, right? So as many positives as there were to take away from that 30 minutes, ultimately they go down 2-0 and have to fight and claw their way back for a match that they were well in control of. Had you put one of those early ones away, I think we're talking about a very different outcome.
Goal scoring is something that Schulte Brown really wanted to change coming into the spring. And she added those new additions. You look at Parker Goins, Zaid being able to come in. And even that formation change, I thought suited Tampa Bay even better because they do have solid defensive pieces who can cover more ground. And to your point, having Giammona in the midfield, being able to step to the ball, she had this sense of confidence and almost like freedom that maybe she hasn't had in the past because she has more numbers around her in the midfield who can do the defensive piece if she were to take the risk. So I agree with Tampa Bay. I mean, they had 13 shots to Fort Lauderdale's 8 shots, but credit to Fort Lauderdale. They came into this game and they did a really nice job of picking up where they left off. Super League December Player of the Month, Jasmine Hamid, picked up where she left off, in particular, getting the first goal in this match. United connected over 400 passes, and they added some new attacking pieces, but you look at the buildup and it was pretty predictable and not a bad way, just similar to the fall. How can it be quicker though?
Yeah, if we talked about Tampa Bay, right? They first 30 minutes, last 10 minutes, they owned. But really that middle stretch, Fort Lauderdale was very good. And I think that there's something to be said for the composure that they showed. They weathered a massive storm in that first half. But even in that first half, there were moments, right? We didn't see very long spells of possession, but as soon as they got the ball to the wingers, there were some desperate moments for the Tampa Bay defense early on. And it didn't take but a few touches. And so I bring that up to say predictable, yes, but you make a good point, Anna. It's not in a bad way. They have tried and true wingers, okay? Like Jasmine Hamid, Shania Gordon, it is clear that they are one of the toughest players in the league to defend. And they're quick on the ball. That moment of hesitation, quick little head fake. What a goal. I mean, what a goal from Jasmine Hamid. And I even liked Shania Gordon's little celebration to the fans. Excuse me, what? What were you saying? Absolutely love that about her. Now, you asked how it can be quicker. I think we will continue to see Addie McCain drop a bit deeper. I think that her movement off the ball is actually what confuses a lot of center backs. And that is what allows ultimately for those tried and true wingers to get in 1v1 situations. If I look and I see that I have Jasmine Hamid 1v1, I'm getting the ball to Jasmine Hamid 1v1. It's very similar to Baker Hill getting Mike Evans in single coverage, right? Like that's what we're doing. And no one's going to stop her, likely. But a lot of that has to start with Addie McCain or Kiera Prale, right? Who we saw, who was very impressive. Those players attracting the center backs, those players occupying that space to force the center backs into a decision, and then ultimately they're leaving some open coverage down the field. I think it took them a little too long to find their rhythm.
Yeah.
And they did not use their holding midfielders enough to break the lines of pressure, but they found some tempo and they did find some rhythm and ultimately got two against the grain.
So Kira Prawley comes into this system for Fort Lauderdale, and typically it was where Addie McCain was playing in that true nine role. Now it's Prawley playing there, and it's allowing McCain to be a little bit more drop back, as you had mentioned. How does that change the dynamic of the two wingers and how they want to play into the box?
Yeah, I think that Addie McCain has vision, perhaps that Fort Lauderdale was missing in the fall season. If my challenge to her would be to continue trying to play on the half turn, if she can occupy that space right in front of the back line, play on the half turn and start to drive at defense, she's got the vision and the passing ability to be able to not only find little slip balls into channels, but once she does that, Anna, to your point, she has the intelligence in the 18-yard box to be able to make a secondary run, find herself open and get on the end of it. So I think that you could see a lot of Addie McCain link up, not only to start the attack, but ultimately to finish it, because we know she can run, we know she can finish, and we know she's got the vision. So I'm excited to see how her potentially dropping a little bit deeper can open up some new opportunities, not only for herself, but also for this Fort Lauderdale side.
Gordon and Hamid are kind of giving AJ Brown in the Super Bowl vibes, in my opinion, just like wide open, completing every completion that they possibly can and doing it with the utmost confidence. Really fun to see Fort Lauderdale and Tampa Bay. I mean, this ended in a game. I think the scoreline really showed how this match progressed. Each team had their moments and there's a lot to build on. And Carlee brought it up. Tampa Bay was excited to get the first one underneath their belt before everybody else did. But we'll be diving into more of those games in the second half of the show. It is Game Week on SiriusXM.
Bringing you up to date on all the action from a busy weekend of women's soccer. This is USL Super League Game Week on SiriusXM FC.
Welcome back to Game Week on SiriusXM. We've seen a lot of new players on the pitch between Tampa Bay and Fort Lauderdale this past weekend. Now we're going to discuss our new kid on the pitch favorites from week one in the spring of USL Super League. Marion, how about you kick us off? Who was the new kid on the pitch who really dazzled you on Saturday?
Laurel Ainsborough, and it's just because, first and foremost, we talked about Fort Lauderdale weathering the storm that was Tampa Bay in the first 30 minutes. Credit where credit is due. The box defending for Fort Lauderdale. Tampa Bay is probably going to hear this and say, well, our services, our runs weren't good enough. But I thought the box defending led by newcomer Laurel Ainsborough what was phenomenal. I mean, just the leadership that Laurel brings to this team, I just want to read it. You know, Wake Forest Demon Dinkins, who went to the Final Four, 61 over 66 total appearances, over 5,000 minutes played. They made the first NCAA national championship appearance and the second college cup trip in program history, right? So I don't want to take anything away from Wake Forest, but it's not like we're talking about a North Carolina, a Duke, a Stanford, right? Where we're used to seeing them year in, year out. They did something at Wake Forest that had truly never been done before. And when I talked to her head coach when we were covering the Final Four, the things that he had to say about her and her ability to lead a team in a direction that they need to go, second to none. And I thought that she proved that and led highly by example in her first outing with this team.
Ainsborough in that center back role, also a Cary native, Marion. So go Imps, me and her, both from Cary, North Carolina. I love that pick. I was really impressed with her play and how she really showed up from the jump for Fort Lauderdale. She's going to be a really impressive ad as this season goes on, and really her career arc is going to be really fun to watch. For me, it was on the other team. It was Tampa Bay's Jordan Zaid. She's a fellow Big Ten girl who has really good physical presence. Phenomenal 1v1, like almost impossible to stop going forward 1v1. And then on the defensive side, where she played at Nebraska in a defensive role, she's really good defensively in a 1v1 role. And that's exactly what Shelty Brown wanted to add to the attack and into the midfield. Zaid played all 90 minutes in her first Super League match, which is so impressive. Not just first Super League match, but her first professional match. She was able to make an instant impact. She was able to provide some really nice balls into the attack for Giammona, for Flint to look to get on the end of. And as these players get a better understanding of how Zaid provides, how her runs work, how she, kicks the ball into the area, I think they're going to start to be able to score more opportunities in and around in the six. So Zaid, a new kid on the pitch who more than just dazzled me. She is something that I'm certainly going to continue to watch throughout the season.
Couldn't agree more. And just for the Tampa Bay fans out there to have to piggyback off of what Anna said, timing in the box is often one of the last pieces to come as an attacking group because it takes repetition,
Yep.
it takes time, it takes communication. And repetition is not something that Jordan has had yet with this club, right? It will come, but I would also argue the quality of balls that she put into the box could have easily had 3 assists in the first 30 minutes. And one of the things that makes her the most potentially one of the most explosive players is that first touch inline. She is not scared to go inline. And Anna, how many times do you hear me talk about the players that cut and they cut back and they cut back because they're trying to get themselves within the frame of goal? She doesn't do that. She is inline, head up, service looking first. And with 21 goal contributions as a defender in Nebraska, I think we're only starting to see the tip of the iceberg for her attacking abilities.
The fact that Zaid doesn't cut back really just shows her confidence that she has in herself going forward, right? Like if you cut back, that's typically a player going, I don't think I actually beat my defender. Let's look for the next best option. Zaid doesn't show that presence. And yeah, to your point, this will be a fun player to watch as well. A lot of fun players to watch in the Super League. And we've only seen 2 teams play since that break happened. We got 2 games this weekend. Dallas will host Tampa Bay Saturday at 6:30. Carolina will host Lexington Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. You can tune into both of those matches on Peacock. Dallas against Tampa Bay. Well, we had Dallas's new addition, Lexi Missimo, on the show last week. She's going to be playing in that mix with Brooks and potentially Gracie Bryan in the midfield.
Yeah.
How do you see those 3 working off each other?
I think this is an incredible setup for Lexi because it mirrors what was happening at Texas. When you have a player like Amber Brooks, who is surefire, defensively sound, and really can cover ground, what that does for you as a 10, right, as an attacking midfielder, is it provides you confidence that you can go forward knowing that you have someone defensively who can stop a transitional moment, who can clean up those second balls and put them back into the mixer. It really is just going to allow Lexi to have a little bit more freedom and confidence going forward. And sometimes I could see this Dallas front line looking, depending on how they end up playing in the spring season, I could see them looking like a 3 front or a 4 front. With Lexi, just knowing that Amber Brooks is underneath them at that holding midfielder position. I'm interested to see who makes up the third member of their diamond, or even if they play a diamond. But I do think that Pauline McDonald has some options. I think Ubu Gagu, we often see her on the wing, but I think that she has the ability to step in centrally as well. We've seen Strawn centrally, so I'm interested to see how they're going to fit this midfield 3.
Missimo is going to be going up against Listro, Giammona, Hawk's daughter. Tampa Bay has some really nice midfielders. So it'll be definitely a match centrally that I'm going to be paying attention to, because I think whoever wins that midfield is certainly going to have the upper hand in this match. Carolina against Lexington. Now, Lexington has added 5 new additions, and this is a team who needed almost a wholesale change to really change the direction of their season. What do you need to see from Lexington in order for you to be confident that they have a positive step going forward?
Yeah, I want to caution everyone, because it's what we led the show with, right? We talked about the impressive nature of everything that Tampa Bay changed, and the fact that really in the first 30 minutes of their match against Fort Lauderdale, it felt like things were clicking on all cylinders. And I want to caution everyone to think that that is normal. That's not normal. So for me, I actually think that that's probably the lesser thing to pay attention to with this Lexington side. The chemistry, the comfortability, the relationships, they're going to continue to evolve, right? You don't want to see them moving at a snail's pace, but I would not, if you're watching this game, do not expect it for them to be clicking on all cylinders with so much change. Now, the good thing is you do have a couple of players in the mix that are used to each other, right? You got a couple of Georgia Bulldogs, you got a couple of SEC players who have played together, played against each other. So that does bode in your favor. But for me, I'm just looking for a little bit more of an explosive explosive type of attitude from this group. I want the defensive play to be spot on, right? So many times, and I felt like in the fall season, we saw too much time and space for the opposition's midfielders, for the opposition's back line. I want to see a little bit more of a dogfight in them. And then from an attacking perspective, we knew that they had the pieces. We've seen some worldies from this Lexington offense, but now can they establish some sort of a rhythm? So that's going to be what I'm looking for. Not only can they have a little bit more intent behind their defensive pressure, but on the attacking side of the ball, can we start to see little glimpses of the gears turning, right? Third man combinations, trying to find little slip balls into space. Just the timing in the 18-yard box doesn't have to be spot on, right? But are you hitting that near post, far post? Those basic things where you're seeing that, hey, if they can just get a few more reps together in practice, they have the makings of a really good squad.
Individual performances are going to be key for Lexington because the chemistry isn't there and the expectation for it to be there is not there, right? Like these players are just first getting their real game experience in this one against Carolina. So individual performances, 1v1 battles is going to be really important for Lexington. And then Carolina, they're sitting fourth in the table, really ended on a downward slope where at the beginning of the season, they were at the top of the table the entire fall. So for Carolina, this is a game where they're hosting the team as well. They have their own home crowd behind them, and they're certainly looking for 3 points to get off to a good start. And it will be Riley Parker joining that attack as well for Carolina. Some new pieces for Carolina as well. Well, don't go anywhere. We have Tampa Bay's Carlee Giammona who joined the show. She talked about the start of the fall season, why she's been able to get off to such a fun jump. And then, of course, some of the fun things that they've been able to do in Tampa Bay. You don't want to miss this. It is Game Week on SiriusXM.
Bringing you up to date on all the action from a busy weekend of women's soccer. This is USL Super League Game Week on SiriusXM FC.
Welcome back to Game Week on SiriusXM. We are joined by Tampa Bay midfielder forward Carlee Giammona. Carlee, thanks for coming on. It's so good to see you, especially coming off of that match that kind of jump-started the spring schedule here in the Super League. But it was a 2-2 draw against Fort Lauderdale for your side. And we really saw a lot of changes for Tampa Bay, from the formation to 5 different starters in the mix. How did you feel personally about some of the changes that were made?
Yeah, I think it was a good game for us to kind of assess where we were at and see how we had been training over the break and things we needed to adjust. So we felt a ton of excitement going into the game kind of after this long break. But I think looking forward to our next games, we're just kind of looking to keep growing and keep going forward with the adjustments that we've made over the break.
Let's talk about that. I feel like everyone is going to approach the break differently because everyone came off the fall season in a bit of a different spot. So, Carlee, for you guys, for Tampa Bay, walk me through how you felt generally that the fall season went, right? How it ended, and then those things that you were looking to improve upon specifically in the spring season as we get into a hunt for a trophy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the fall season, I'm sure for every team, but for us, we had a ton of ups and downs. Like we would go through a few games where we were feeling really good, feeling like we were really connected, and then have a few games where you just don't feel like you don't feel it clicking as well. But I think ending the fall season with our win against Spokane was like a good way to end it for us, a good way to get our 3 points and figure out what we needed to do for the spring season. And then in like training and kind of preseason, I guess, going into the spring season, we just kind of looked at what we needed to change, look at if we wanted to kind of implement some new things, and we have been doing that. So now we're starting to do that, and yeah, we're obviously everyone's playing for the title. So that's what we're trying to do too, and hopefully we can do it.
Right. I mean, it's been a really strong start for you personally, Carlee. I mean, 14 matches, 6 goals is really impressive, especially with a new league, a new team. You haven't really played with any of these players on your team. You have a brand new coach. What do you attribute to your ability to finish so early in this season?
I think just the girls, the coaching staff, they were all, I would say it's been amazing how we've all kind of clicked together, and it doesn't feel like you're playing with girls you've never played with. It doesn't feel like it's like, the first 6 months of a league, and we've all on and off the field really connected well. So that's helped me tremendously. And then obviously just being surrounded by such talented players is always gonna make me look better as well. So yeah, I would just that like the coaching staff and the players have been amazing.
I'm gonna ask you to do something a little kind of out of season because
Mm.
I feel like, but I feel like we have an opportunity. As players, we don't often get that reflective period until post everything, and you kind of have a nice little break where you get to reflect on one part of the season, really actively change it going into the second part. But I want to take you back even further. Obviously, you played in Liga MX, you've been a U.S. Youth International, you played at all the different levels, Glasgow City, right? What have you, if you kind of looked back on all of those stops along the way, what parts of your game have you picked up from those stops and really you're starting to see implemented here in the Super League?
Yeah, I mean it's crazy, and I always think
Yeah.
about how like different countries and places have such different styles of play. So like I would go to Mexico and it's like this super possessional based like tiki-taka type of soccer, and then you go to Scotland and it's physical, it's like these hard matches. And so luckily playing in a few different places that I've played, I feel like I've been able to like pick up on different things from the league that I can like implement to my game. So I don't think I can pinpoint like one specific thing that I've been able to add to my game. I think there's been a bunch of different things, and um even in this league, like there's new things that you can pick up with different players, and um so I feel like there's just you kind of grow with every new environment that you're in,
Well
which is
said.
always good.
And you're still so young in your career right now. And you mentioned the fact that you can pick up things in the Super League. There are new players around you. What have you picked up in your first few months in the Super League?
Yeah, I think obviously like athleticism is a huge thing, and we have so many athletic girls that you see like every single game. And then just I'm trying to think, like people are like a lot of the girls are super clinical in the box. Like that's one thing trying to I've been trying to do is get better at, is like being more clinical, like when I'm in the box, or if I have a like an outright goal scoring opportunity, like I need to put that away. And I think that's kind of been something that I've seen throughout the league, is if a team has a clear goal scoring opportunity, like they're pretty focused on scoring. So, and that's what I've been trying to do as well. So it's been good to kind of pick up on different things from all the different teams.
Let's have a little bit of fun. Walk me through what's the pregame routine. And I don't mean like just by the time you get to the facilities. I'm talking like we wake up, but what's the routine? We coffee, tea, we go and have breakfast. Like what are we doing?
Coffee, always. Got to get a coffee. And usually I'll walk to go get a coffee, or I'll drive. Obviously Tampa is a beautiful place, so I like to go to like little beachy kind of cafes, or something where I can just hang out for a little bit. And then I'll get some breakfast. I'm not like super superstitious about like what I eat. Like I just
Right, okay.
whatever I'm feeling that day. And then I'll go home and just kind of relax, hang out with my dog, chill a little bit, and then go to the facility. And then we take a bus and a water taxi. So I feel like our thing kind of starts a little bit earlier. So we go to the facility, we jump on the bus, we jump on the boat, and then we get to the stadium. So we have a lot going on.
How is that boat ride experience? I hope nobody has any seasickness or anything that they're dealing with on that little water taxi ride.
Yeah, no, luckily it's pretty short. It's literally like 5 minutes maybe. Like we get on and we just go straight and then get to the stadium. So it's not long at all, but it's cool. We get to drive past a lot of fans. There's like this
Yeah.
cool little outdoor restaurant place that a lot of the fans go to before the game. So we all wave to them and then get off on our stadium. So it's a cool thing that like we're we're doing. Like it's unique to us and it's something that we
Right.
kind of started. So it's a cool tradition, I guess.
And you also have the mascot, which is unique to you guys now. Really cool ad. I think you guys have done the club has done some really fun stuff in that
Yeah.
off season. Now I got to ask you, Carlee, we want to dig into you a little bit more and see the kind of people you want to hang out with. So you're hosting a dinner, right? And you can only invite 4 people. They can be alive, they can be dead, whatever. Who are you inviting?
Oh gosh.
What? I mean, like alive or dead? Oh my God.
Yeah, why not?
Oh gosh.
Whoever you want to invite. And it doesn't
about.
have to be that deep, but I just want to see.
No, this is that deep. This is
it?
this is you as a person. The answer to this question.
Yeah, this
Honestly,
is me as a person.
honestly, I'm probably not going like any celebrities or anything. I'm
Okay.
probably
Love you
going
already.
my sister, my boyfriend, and my parents. I'm probably just
I love
because
that.
my sister doesn't live like my sister lives in Chicago, my parents live in Michigan, so I don't see them a ton. And then my boyfriend lives here, but I have to invite him. So yeah, if I didn't, he'd be mad at me. So I have to invite him, and then yeah, my parents and my sister.
Did you guys meet in Tampa Bay or?
My boyfriend?
Mhm.
No, from high school. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Fun.
So yeah,
That's awesome.
like 8 years ago, kind of a long time.
8 years ago.
Yeah.
You're from Colorado, so that means he's
Well,
from Colorado.
so I went to high school in Vegas, in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Yeah, I was playing with teams in Vegas. My
You went to Palo Verde, didn't you?
yeah. My parents had like another house in Vegas, so my sister graduated college and they were like, "Would you want to go to Vegas full time?" I think they were over the cold, and I was like, "Yeah," because I had already been training out there and made friends, and then went to just high school out there, so that's where I met him.
Okay.
And you've convinced him now to come to Tampa.
Yes, yeah.
Wow. Not a hard ask. Not a hard ask. What has been your favorite thing about Tampa so far?
Probably just the weather. Like I love the warm, I love the beach. I'm like, let me be out in the sun. So I love the weather. And then it's such a great like just like scene for cute restaurants, cute little coffee shops. Like we live pretty close to downtown, so there's a lot to do. Like you can walk to go to downtown and go to eat, or there's just so much to do where you're not really having to drive 45 minutes to get to somewhere cute. Like everywhere is pretty close.
And you kind of mentioned the fact that you guys as a team are really close. What do you guys like to do together as a group? What are some fun activities to do in Tampa?
Probably the most common one, especially now that's getting warmer, is just like a nice beach day.
Yeah.
Just going out and grabbing a coffee before going out and laying out by the water for a few hours. And yeah, we'll do like just like dinners, like a lot of the girls are doing like bachelorette nights or bachelor nights because the bachelor's back on. So
Nice.
Oh, I forgot. It started again.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I fell off that train in high school, but I totally used to love it back in the day. And it's like a good fun group activity.
This is a great question, though.
Mhm.
What's your favorite reality? Like, are you a reality TV type of gal?
Yeah, I really like Love Island.
Okay.
I'm like,
Okay.
this
You're
is
showing your
my
age there, Carlee. My sister loves Love Island too. I have not tuned in yet.
it's one of those where you can kind of put it on as background noise. Like if I'm cleaning, it's like I can still pay attention, but I don't need to be so focused because it's
Right.
just like kind of silly. But I watched Game of Thrones like 6 months ago, and I had to be like locked in because
Locked in.
I would
You
miss,
can't do anything. Oh my gosh. Talk about one of the most devastating shows. I'm not going to be spoilers if there's some crazy person out there that still hasn't watched Game of Thrones, but
I'm that crazy person. I tried so hard.
under my own roof.
Marion,
Under my
what makes
own
you think
roof.
I tuned into Game of Thrones?
Oh my gosh,
You
Anna,
know that.
I don't even like sci-fi. Carlee, back me up here.
I mean, like literally probably the best show ever made.
Wow, that's
Thank you.
that's a high rating. All right, I'll have
You're
to give
coming
it
from
another
someone
try.
who loves Love Island. Like that,
Yeah.
I mean, that's polarizing. You
That
know?
is
There
really
is-
polarizing.
There is 2 levels for sure.
You can tune into you're like versatile, Carlee, and that's why we have you here. That's why we love
Exactly.
it.
Denise
Unlike
Shelty
you
Brown
Love
did
Island or
call
Game
me.
of Thrones.
Yeah, it's like full both ends of the spectrum. We're here for
Right.
that. We're here for
I
that.
tell
All
you
right.
what.
One last soccer question, Carlee, before we let you go on to training today. Goals for you in particular for the spring. What is one thing you want to accomplish here with Tampa Bay before the end of the 2025 season?
For the team, obviously we wanna win and we want to take home the trophy. For me personally, I mean, I want to keep helping my team. So whether that's like scoring goals or assisting, I want to keep like contributing and being impactful for the team. But yeah, I love to score goals. So hopefully more goals come.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the time. I'm going to tune into Game of Thrones tonight. That's my homework. And then on
Yes.
Saturday, we'll tune into you guys, Tampa Bay against Dallas. Sound good? Sound good?
Perfect. We'll call it a deal.
Thanks so much for joining us this week on Game Week on SiriusXM. You can join us every single Wednesday on the SiriusXM app or on USL's YouTube page. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Feel free to comment below. We would love to hear your feedback and to see what you want to hear us talk about in the Super League, or maybe who you want us to talk to. Until then, we'll see you next week. Have a good one.
You've been listening to USL Super League Game Week on SiriusXM FC.